Hendersonville, and we're monitoring those. We're going to keep you updated on those wildfire conditions throughout the night. Hopefully that will improve some, but we've got a little ways to go before we see rainfall. So we've got to get after midnight before we see some relief in the form of rain showers. So one of the concerns, the wildfires and the strong gusty winds spreading and fanning some of those flames, that's an issue. The other twofold concern, power outages possible. Hopefully not, but that's long been the concern with these intense winds that will be moving in. So 10 weather impact, that means significant notable weather for much of our viewing area is anticipated tonight and as we move through the evening and overnight hours. All right, first of all, I want to start off with the 12-hour forecast. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. I'm going to get this dialed up here and so that I can view your questions, and we'll go from there. And certainly hope you're having a good, safe night. It has been a windy and warm day, certainly, as we have been seeing those strong gusty winds. By the way, as we look at our 12-hour forecast, the windy conditions are going to continue with dry conditions through the evening up until and just after midnight. So unfortunately, it's going to take until after midnight till we see rain. More on that in a moment. But again, some strong to intense winds. Showers, a few thunderstorms will be developing. It looks like it's probably going to be closer to maybe 2 to maybe 3 a.m. Again, within our forecast. So it's going to be after midnight and then into the early morning hours Thursday. As far as the storm potential, I don't really see a lot of severe storm potential in East Tennessee. We could see a few isolated strong to severe storms. The main concern, though, is going to continue to be the strong winds. The high winds is the overall main concern. And that's the main impact that will likely be seen. And again, because of high winds, that twofold concern, wildfires, power outages, something we'll continue to be monitoring. Showers with us through about 6 to 7 a.m., and then they'll taper off. The winds will be relaxing. May take until after about 3 to 4 a.m. Once the rain moves in, winds should gradually relax. They'll still be breezy, but just not quite as windy. All right, that's kind of a preview of what we were looking at. Lindsay Collins, hope I just answered your question. What time will it be done? After about 4 a.m. So we got to go basically after midnight into the early morning hours. We'll be here to keep you updated and keep it right here, and certainly also on WBR.com, 10 News for the very latest. Thank you, Kathy. Very kind comments there. How was the fire in Wares Valley? We're still getting updates on that. It did not have much containment at all as of earlier this evening. Hopefully that's going to be improving some. A lot of firefighters and volunteers doing basically yeoman's work to just try to contain the fire. With these type winds that have been gusty and also been shifty in Wares Valley. So it's, as you know, that's very hard when you're dealing with strong, gusty, and shifty winds. So we'll continue to keep you updated. I don't have any updated information other than what we had at 6 o'clock, and we'll continue to keep you updated. Sarah says possible tornadoes in the area, not expected. There are tornado warnings right now in parts of West Tennessee and Mississippi, and that's where the highest risk for severe storms will be. I'll get to that in a moment, and we'll go through in the next few moments here, try to answer all your questions, and we'll continue to keep you updated, and we'll go through the maps of what we're expecting. Okay, so I'll get back to your questions in just a moment. Again, feel free to ask away, and I'll try to catch up with those. And I do hope you're having a good Wednesday. All right, here's a look at the current wind gusts. Notice the brighter reds and purples. Winds continue to be strong. They're actually going to increase between now and just after midnight. So unfortunately, winds are actually forecast to increase, and there's a specific reason why. I'm going to show you the radar in a moment. The main line of storms is still well to our west. The cold front is still far west of us. It's going to take a while longer to get here. Up at about 850 millibars, 5,000 feet, what we call an 850 jet at 5,000 feet, so the mountains, we're talking about winds that are going to be in excess of 70 miles per hour. Could be having winds gusting up to 90 miles per hour possible in the mountains tonight. And so what we're looking at right now, and this is the current wind gust, some of those really high winds are increasing. Information from the National Weather Service in Morristown, the peak wind so far in the Smoky Mountains at Cove Mountain has been 60 miles per hour so far. It could go up several notches from that. Peak wind gust at Look Rock, 58 miles per hour. So far in Knoxville, our peak wind gust today was just after 4 o'clock. I think it was 4:09. We had a peak wind gust of 45 miles per hour. Well, this is the current wind gust. Let me show you our forecast wind gust, and we'll stop it at 1 a.m. So look at these winds that are actually, from where they are now, could be even higher than what we're seeing right now. For example, and this is just a model forecast, but Maryville, the Tellico Plains, and continuing to see those. I'll kind of telestrate that. As you can see right there, again, we are looking at those winds of 50 miles per hour plus. There's a look at Gatlinburg. Look at those, look at the purple colors right there. That's winds probably in excess of 70 miles per hour that will continue to impact the region. And along the Cumberland Plateau, winds of 45, maybe in excess of 50 miles per hour. So yes, that's what we're looking at. Here in the valley, winds could be in excess of 55 miles per hour. And then as we move through tomorrow morning, notice the timeline. Here's what we're looking at. Again, the timeline has Thursday, 7 a.m. Winds will not be as strong by early in the morning. They'll still be breezy. Instead of coming right out of the south, they'll be out of the southwest, shifting ever so slightly from southerly direction out of the south, heading to the north. Whenever we say wind direction, that's always where it's coming from. So opposite, if it's from the south, it's moving to the north, right? And then southwest to northeast by tomorrow morning. So winds will relax by late tonight, after 4 a.m. into the early morning hours. But here's what we're looking at, area-wide wind advisory. So we have a wind advisory for the valley. Again, sustained winds south at 20 to 30 and gust up to 55 miles per hour. That's strong enough to possibly down some trees and tree limbs onto power lines. So that's our twofold concern. What happens when strong winds knock down power lines? Obviously, the power goes out. But the other concern is that can spark some new fires. So that's sometimes how you have brush fires and wildfires start. Not necessarily an accident or anything, but certainly it could be from those power lines falling. So hopefully that does not happen, but it is a concern. Look here in the mountains. South winds sustained 40 to 50. And the gust up to 90 miles per hour possible. Again, that's that low-level jet up about 5,000 feet that's going to be basically racing out of the south and moving due north across the mountains. That's going to increase between 11 p.m. and about 2 to 3 a.m. So we've got about 3 or 4 hour window where winds are expected to be really strong, late tonight into the early morning hours. I know, during the overnight hours, we wish it was during the daytime, our waking hours, but we'll have to get past about 3 to 4 a.m. before it improves. That's what it looks like right now. All right, that's the wind advisories. That's in effect until 6 a.m. Here's an updated look, actually, now that we're officially at 8 o'clock, and we have new information from the Weather Service as well. The red flag warning has been extended, and I believe that's going to go until 6 a.m. Let me see if I can get this information. Yes, until 6 a.m. for the mountains and foothills. So mountains and foothills, red flag warning is going to continue till 6 a.m. You see it's just expired at 8 o'clock. It may go away for parts of Kentucky as well. It has expired for the Central Valley. That just means humidity values that were very low today. We were in the teens in some humidity values, still low, 25 to 30% in the mountains and foothills. They may get just above 30% before, and then the rain arrives, obviously rise. So that's just a timing thing. Nothing else has changed. Don't do any burning outside, so that still continues. Gusty winds continues. Red flag warning, fire danger still high, particularly in the mountains and foothills. And that's going to go until 6 a.m. again for Thursday morning. So that's an update. All right, here's the Futurecast timeline. I'll try to illustrate this. This is at midnight tonight. This line of storms, if anything, the model trend has been a little bit slower. We'd almost rather that speed up for a lot of reasons, but we need the rain to help with firefighting efforts. And as soon as the rain moves on through, the winds will gradually relax and just be breezy instead of windy. So before the line gets here, winds, again, are going to be howling. Let me kind of illustrate that with winds coming right out of the south. I don't know if you can see that very good, but winds out of the south ahead of this line are going to be very strong and gusty until this line moves in. Even once the line moves in, that's actually when we could see some focused, intense winds with the line. That's the main concern. So that's midnight. Let me move forward, and I'll take off those arrows. Here's 1 a.m. So the line of showers and some embedded storms, but mainly it's the line of heavier showers and storms right along the Cumberland Plateau for Spring City, Crossville, Jamestown, midnight your time, Central Time, 1 a.m. Eastern Time. We're looking at this line just moving on to the plateau. It may speed up as we go into the late evening hours, but right now model trends have been a little slower. So that's 1 a.m. 2 a.m. still just barely west of Knoxville. I wouldn't be surprised if it speeds up a little bit more than what's shown, but see this line of red right here? That's the main line of intense showers that we're looking at that will continue to build in. Within this line right here, that's when we could see some potentially damaging wind gusts. Not so much the actual severe storms, individual convective cells. It's more of a linear line of focused, intense winds. Here's what's going on. Remember that 5,000 foot, I was talking about the 850 millibar level technically, but that's 5,000 feet. When you have heavy rain, some of those the heavier showers can transport those high winds aloft down to the surface when you have heavy rain embedded within a line. So that's where you can get those strong, even stronger winds than what we're seeing now, and we'll see, is transfer down the surface. So we could have some damage in wind gusts. That's the main concern. That's the main impact as we go through tonight. High winds, potentially damaging winds. Again, power outage is possible. By the way, make sure if you haven't done so, let's see what my power is on. I think I still got it fully charged, 83%, not bad. Charged it earlier. Again, cell phones, make sure they're charged up. It's my work phone, here's my personal phone. Anyway, so make sure your cell phones, devices are charged up so you'll have a way to get information in case your power goes out. Flashlights, handy. So it's possible we could see power outages. That's a legitimate concern with these type winds. So make sure all your devices, everything's charged up. NOAA weather radio, make sure that's working so you can get the updated information, and not just because there's maybe some strong storms, but a lot of weather information that the National Weather Service, I'm looking at this right now, continues. They just issued this 2 minutes ago. Increased fire danger continuing. So updated information coming from the NOAA weather radio, not just for storms, but the updates on all weather conditions, fire danger, any damage reports, storm warnings, etc. So that's what we're looking at. And again, that goes back to the red flag warning for the mountains and foothills through 6 a.m. All right, so back to what we're looking at right here. And I know you see me in the box. You're seeing the big picture, so I'll point it out here. Thank you, Josh. We are looking at those heavier lines of showers at 3 a.m., moving into the valley. I would say between 2 and 3 a.m. right now. 4 a.m., that's more looking at the heavier showers that will likely be trying to move into blunt and severe counties. But even at 4 a.m., our model's still trying to bring it on in there and finally brings those soaking showers in during the early morning hours Thursday. I have a decent chance for rain up until about 7 to 8 a.m. Then as we go through the rest of our time on Thursday, looks like we may see a few showers at noontime, but the rest of Thursday is going to be breezy, drying back out, and temperatures in the 70s. All right, a few more things to go through and to get to, then I'll get right to your questions coming up in just a moment. We were 1 degree shy of a record high today, by the way. Side note, if you thought the pollen was high today, you're exactly right. Matter of fact, not only high, very high. It was very warm, again, almost a record high, 83, windy, and we had very high tree pollen today. So here's what we're seeing right now from our Gatlinburg camera. Let me kind of switch things around. That's a live view of our Gatlinburg camera. The sun set tonight at 7:56. By the way, it sets at 8 o'clock coming up Monday, April 4th. 8 o'clock sunset coming up starting Monday. But back to what we're seeing. This is our Parkway camera. It's not Gatlinburg, it's Parkway. Slightly good news, we don't see the smoke plume as much as we were seeing earlier. And so, again, winds have been shifted and may have been a factor there on that. But that's what we're looking at right now. Temperatures still in the 70s. Our winds are out of the south at 20 miles per hour. So I wanted to get to the radar and show you this. Notice this line of heavier showers and storms. This is what's happening right now. All these yellow boxes are called polygons. These are individual severe thunderstorm warnings. That means winds of 60 miles per hour or higher. So there is some severe weather, and this is expected within this line of storms that's moving from Arkansas into west to middle Tennessee and into Mississippi. This area has the greatest chance for severe weather. There's one tornado warning, it looks like, in south central Mississippi. Okay, so notice, let me stop this radar right here. There's the line of showers and storms. And again, here in Knoxville in East Tennessee, this line is still far to our west. So it's going to be after midnight and even into the early morning hours before we see some beneficial showers. Some strong storms, some high, potentially damaging wind gusts, but as far as the rain potential, it's going to be a little while longer. All right, as far as the severe storm risk, where's the highest potential for severe storms? Well, definitely Mississippi, where it is right now, and where it was always expected to be. Mississippi, West Tennessee, and western Alabama. That's extended a little bit more in Alabama. Nothing's changed in East Tennessee. We have an elevated slight risk for some spotty to isolated severe storms. It could be 60 miles per hour or higher. Keep in mind, instead of an individual storm, it's more linear within that line there where we could have some 60 mile per hour plus winds. It could do some damage. So that's why we have the elevated risk. There could be some individual severe storms within the line, but it's mainly because of that linear line. And as you go Knoxville east, it's 1 out of 5. A low end, marginal, isolated storms are possible. But in other words, from Mississippi and Alabama, the further east you go, from Middle Tennessee into East Tennessee, the risk is lower. It lessens as you go from west to east. So the highest risk for strong to severe storms is back to our west. Again, I'll get to your questions in a moment. So here's a look. I know that went by kind of fast. Let me just manually drag this out. So here's a look at 8 p.m. right now. That's our model forecast. It's actually got a pretty good handle on it because that's where it pretty much is right now. Maybe a little bit fast. All right, so there's a look at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. in the Nashville area. So that's 10 p.m. Eastern time in Birmingham. Again, we're still warm and windy and dry through the late evening and up until and just after midnight. There's a look at, there's a look at midnight right there, still west of us. There's 1 a.m. Again, onto the plateau, and it may speed up some, but then that 1 to 2 a.m., 1 to 2 a.m., kind of coming off the plateau into at least the western and maybe central and southern parts of the valley. So that's 2 a.m. for your Thursday. There's 3, 4 a.m. Notice overall, let me go right there. I can't illustrate that because I have to let it play out. But overall, let me see if I can do that. Overall, the risk for stronger storms, here I can do that, is notice it's generally in the southern valley, in southwest North Carolina and North Georgia. So the further north you go, not expecting as much impactful storms as far as that goes, and maybe not as impactful high winds. But anywhere within our viewing area, we do have a chance for intense damaging wind gusts. Do want to mention that. But I would say it's across the southern half of East Tennessee is where some of the strongest potential weather, not just from these storms, but intense winds. So generally speaking from Knoxville south, but again, anywhere in our viewing area, we could see some damaging wind gusts, and it's particularly strong at that time as you go into North Georgia. It quickly moves out. There's our Thursday forecast. May get some light rain showers moving back in late Thursday night. Rain right now is good. We'll take all the rain we can get. By the way, let me kind of walk through our forecast tonight, and I'll show you the 7-day real quick. There's some good news as far as the rain potential next week. So showers arriving after midnight, a few embedded storms, high winds likely. Wind advisory through 6 a.m. That will continue overnight. Notice the winds right here. Southerly winds, 20 to 30 miles per hour, gusting to 50. So that's a look at our wind forecast. That's for tonight until we get past about 4 a.m. hour. Here's your 7-day forecast. Some showers tomorrow, breezy and mild. Friday into the weekend, we're going to be cooler in the 60s. The good news I was going to mention, we need the rain. Especially, we're going to get, how much rain could we see? I haven't covered that yet. It looks like about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. So 0.5 to maybe 0.75. We'll take what we can get. Not necessarily widespread heavy soaking rains for a long period of time. It's kind of in and out, but hopefully we'll get at least a 1/2 inch or a little bit more, maybe 3/4 of an inch in some areas. This system right here, late Tuesday, Tuesday night, Wednesday, that could bring us maybe an inch or two, potentially. So we'll have a cooler and dry weekend for the most part. Some sunshine, seasonable, first weekend of April. Next decent chance for rain comes back in as we get into late Tuesday into Wednesday. Okay, let me reset. I'm going to put it back on our model forecast and update you on the timing. And let me go back and see if I can answer as many questions as I possibly can get to. And you're welcome, Michelle. Thanks, Vernon. Extra D there. The wind is very shifty in Wares Valley with the fire department. Yeah, that's what we've heard. We've got several of our reporters, crews on the scene. Will continue to be on the scene to keep you updated throughout the evening. So here we are now at 8:11. We'll definitely tune back in tonight at 10 o'clock on Fox 43 and at 11 o'clock on Channel 10 for the night beat. At 10 and 11 tonight, have much more information. We'll have the very latest weather forecast, of course, but John and Robin will have the very latest on the wildfires, and we'll have live reports coming in from Wares Valley and the very latest Andersonville as well. So we'll get an update as we go through the evening. Actually, social media, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Check. You can follow all of our 10 News reporters and anchors. Cole Sullivan's been reporting on those, John, Robin, etc. And we are continuing to follow those reports as they come in for this evening. Let's see. Bruce, thank you very much. Let's see. When did you, I'm not sure how long ago you mentioned that. They're still reporting 0% containment. Cookeville and surrounding departments just came through. Yeah, departments are starting to come in from all over. How high could the winds be to knock out power? Well, the winds themselves don't knock down the power lines unless it's an intense storm or tornado, right? What usually happens is the winds knock down the tree branches, which then knock down the power lines. So, technicality. But basically, you can have 40 to 50 mile per hour winds that knock down tree limbs that knock down power. And so anytime you get winds above 40 to 45, pretty much, depends on the size of the limb you're talking about. You can have some limbs go down 30, 35 mile per hour gusts, but especially, Brian, about 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts. Prayers for Wares Valley. Thank you, Jennifer. Absolutely. Let's see. Just going back through some of your questions. Tornadoes in Andersonville and fire also? No, not expecting really tornadoes, no. We're expecting intense winds within the line, and some of those could be severe. Severe winds are 60 miles per hour or greater, but the overall severe risk is higher to our south and west in East Tennessee. Obviously, we'll keep you updated. We've got a lot of wind and energy in the atmosphere if that were to change, but that's not expected. That's not likely. Andersonville, you got some fires, you go get gusty winds. That's the main concern. Let's see. Thank you very much, Sarah. Watching from Sweetwater, Patsy. Why are you all not going live about the fires? We will as more new information comes in, absolutely. At the last check, there was 0% containment, but they're still working. So when we have new information, and we'll have obviously full updates. We've got crews that continuing to be out there in just a little bit. So we're continuing to monitor that. Again, we'll continue this Facebook Live for a few more minutes and take more of your questions, and certainly we'll be continuing to let you know how things are progressing. Back to some of your questions. For Greenback area, again, we'll walk through, again, here's the timeline again. We're expecting the rain, some embedded storms, but not until after midnight. Strong, gusty winds are going to continue the rest of tonight up until about 3 to 4 a.m. The rain potential will increase closer to 2 to 3 a.m. Here's a look at the rain and embedded intense winds along the plateau and western valley. That's going to move into our region between 2 to 3 a.m. That's the latest timing right now. And then into the mountains and foothills between about 3 to 4 a.m. Hopefully this will speed up some the quicker the rain arrives, even though the rain is also going to bring some higher focused winds potentially within the line. Yeah, a little trade-off, but we need the rain to help with the firefighting efforts. By the way, sometimes you've heard the saying, it's darkest before the dawn. Well, the winds are going to be strongest just before and as the rain moves in. And then as it's raining, that's when we could see some pretty intense winds. Then as the rain moves on through, the winds will start to relax. So everything will get calmer and start to relax after that initial line of heavy rain and some pretty gusty winds makes its way through the region. Okay, so thank you, Pam, certainly for your comments there. Let's see. Earlier, picking up the heat smoke, the wildfire. Oh, yeah, that's a great point. I did show that. Let me go back to that. Looking at radar, good point. Very good point. Let me activate this particular scene, and we'll show that. Doppler radar was detecting the smoke plume that was coming just to the north of Wares Valley, off Wares Valley Road. And we'll zoom on in. Again, we're totally dry right now. What you see toward the mountains, that's just feedback around the radar. You can clearly see the smoke plume still continuing right there. So that's what we're seeing. Notice the direction, pretty much north-south. So winds are coming from the south. Let me just kind of illustrate the wind direction. Coming from the south, moving north from Wares Valley, and that's what we're looking at. That is the smoke plume right there. Where you see the yellow colors, that's thicker smoke. Where you see it, as you move away from the plume, it gets more dispersed. It gets more diluted with the dispersion. But this is a current radar. This is a radar loop over the past 2 hours. But this is the smoke plume coming from north of Wares Valley. Notice it's passing just west of Pigeon Forge, just west, and just west of Sevierville, but going through northern Sevier County, up right over Kodak. Kodak, you probably smell the smoke. You got that tinge of smoke. It's east of Knoxville, and so that's pretty much what we're looking at. Let me widen out. And so, see, for perspective, it's going almost to Strawberry Plains, it looks like. So it's pretty much going from Sevier County, Kodak, up near Strawberry Plains, in the far western Jefferson County, out of East Knox and into Jefferson County. That's the smoke plume. So thank you for mentioning that. So again, that's not rain, that's smoke. The rain is still way back to our west. And again, just to kind of summarize that, there's a look at the line of storms that will be moving in. That will be moving in later tonight after midnight. So let's see, just seeing if there's any more. Peggy lives in Pigeon Forge, obviously. I will say this, obviously from what happened in Gatlinburg in 2016, the antennas are way high, right? All across our region. People are very aware exactly what's going on. Crews have been coming in from out of our region to help already. On the ground crews, aerial crews, they're on it. So we can take comfort in heart knowing that because of what happened in 2016, there's obviously a pretty impressive response and a fast response to what's happening right now. And again, to make sure that hopefully nothing else spreads from where it is right now. We're going to keep you updated throughout tonight. We've got about 6 more hours to go until the rain arrives. So that's one of the things that will really help, although the winds, again, are going to still be potentially fanning some of those flames. That's why it's a race, so to speak, when the rain gets here. Okay, thank you, Carrie. I'm trying to see if there's any more questions that I can answer. Mildred says, yeah, I live in Strawberry Plains. I can smell it and it's strong. Yeah, that's what it looked like on our radar. By the way, so here's a look at the storms, just to give you one more update before we let you enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll keep you updated. There are some severe storms. Notice what we're seeing as far as the lightning was just coming in. There's some intense lightning between Jackson and Nashville, and but there's a lot of wind and spinning motion. The greatest chance for severe storms, again, is going to be in Mississippi and Alabama in red. That is a high significant threat for those folks. It's enhanced level 3 out of 5 for Nashville. It's a level 2 out of 5 for Knoxville West, but lower, and it's down to a level 1 out of 5 for the rest of the eastern half of East Tennessee. So that's what we're looking at. So there's a look at the storms, severe potential, and again, between right now and just after midnight, that's when this line of heavier showers will be moving in. What time is Morristown going to get it by the storm? Well, as we talked about a moment ago, it's going to be probably between 2 to 4 a.m. for Morristown. So we'll do this one more time and walk through. And again, thank you for joining us. I do hope you have a good, safe rest of your night. We'll, of course, be back with more weather information, certainly at 10 and 11, or beforehand if we have any updated information. Keep it right here. Keep it on Channel 10. We'll be breaking in if we need to with any updated information. And almost no news is good news, and some of that, if nothing's changed much. But hopefully we'll be able to have some good news, or at least some different news that we'll be having later on tonight. All right, so this is what we're looking at. Again, for Knoxville, it's not going to be in here probably till closer to 2 a.m. Coming off the plateau, let's just say between midnight and 2 a.m., and into the Central Valley between 2 and 3 a.m., and then continuing into upper East Tennessee, probably that 3 to 4 a.m. as it looks right now into the mountains. And then between 4 to 7 a.m., the rain will taper off. The winds will start to relax between 4 and 7 a.m., and everything. It will still be breezy, but not as windy. So that's what we're looking at, and we'll continue. Will the fire smoke shift east tonight when the storm system moves through? A little bit. Winds will shift from south to southwest. That is a good point. So if you're watching, if you're in Sevier, Cocke County, and Greene counties, that plume of smoke is likely going to be shifting and more to the right as we go late tonight as that line moves in. It's still going to be south-southwest, but it'll be more southwesterly and bend around a little bit as we get into early in the morning. And generally speaking, that's what we're looking at. Yes, this line moves in, probably looking at more of a south to southwest flow right there as we head through the rest of this morning. Okay, well, thank you all so much for joining us. Again, some folks are talking about tornadoes. We're not anticipating tornadoes in East Tennessee. Doesn't mean there can't be a brief, isolated one, but we're not expecting those. What we are expecting is some high winds to continue and potentially damaging wind gusts. There may be a few isolated to spotty severe storms. Our risk is not zero, but the overall threat is higher generally across areas to our south. So we'll continue to monitor that and let you know again after midnight. Heavier rains, strong winds continuing into the early morning hours. We'll be back, of course, at 10 and 11 on Fox 43 and on Channel 10 News for full updates. And we'll be here throughout the night. Yep, we're overlapping our coverage into the early morning hours. So keep it right here on Facebook, social media, and, of course, WBR.com, and, of course, on Channel 10 for the very latest weather information. I hope you have a good, safe rest of your night.